Baruch Ata Asherah Anat Malecha Ha'olam Asher Kedishani B'mitzvotav V'tzivani Li'itatif L'tzitzit. Welcome, all. Jesus does indeed love me. What a nice thing to hear early in the morning. We can start, as we always do, from the book of Deuteronomy. When Moses is standing on the rocks, speaking to the people. Hey Joy, how are you doing today? So Moses is standing on the rocks, and he's talking to the people who invented him, who created him. And he's telling them how to create themselves, how to create their own identity. And he says, Shema Yisrael, Asher Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hello, Nick. Yes, I am Jewish. And we're reading from the book of Deuteronomy. Those last 6 words can be translated as, Listen, Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Asherah Echad. Now, I use the word Asherah instead of the word Yahweh twice, instead of the word Adonai, because that word in particular resonates with the kind of Judaism that I want to practice, which is ancient Judaism, polytheistic Judaism. Asherah being a goddess that was worshipped before Moses entered with the Israelites into the land of Canaan. Or so the story goes. None of it's actually true. It's all just a myth. What are my pronouns? Soothing voice, a man. What a world I live in on the internet. When people decide what my gender is, even as they ask it. So, here are my pronouns. These are how people gender me on the internet. You can use whatever you want, but maybe think critically about who you think I am, and you refer to me that way. I'd appreciate that. You love listening to me talk. Thank you. Good morning, Emma. Garden fairy. Yes, see? Amy knows. Amy knows. So, Moses is standing on the rocks, and he's speaking to his people, and his people are hungry, and they're tired, and they're thirsty, and they're in the desert, and they are seeking a home, or so the story goes. And they invent the character of Moses to help them solidify their identity as they are solidifying power in the land of Israel after the Bronze Age collapse. Good morning, Elmira. Good morning. And Moses says to them, or their priests write that Moses says to them, ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומייך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And take to heart these instructions which I charge to you today, these instructions that I am sending into your cell phone, into your eyes, into your ears. These instructions. Impress them upon your children, and recite them when you stay at home, and when you are away, and when you lie down, and when you get up. And bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Letotafot is forehead. And inscribe them on your doorposts, mezuzot, and on your gates. Why do I care what people think? Well, because I am performing for you, Paul. This is a performance, a prayer performance. And I care what people think because I want to perform well. But I don't care if you think hateful things about me. That's fine. Unrelated, but you're obsessed with my food TikToks. Well, you know, Mrs. Bailey, I am a full human. And I can make food TikToks and also host Jewish-themed live streams, and it can be consistent with the same image of myself. But I'm glad you like them. I'm very glad you like them. I like them too. I really like that I'm able to connect with people about the food that I eat, because food is extremely important to me. Also, this live stream is food related. We're going to eat kale later. Actually, today it's going to be collard greens. Collard greens and rice and dates. It's going to be good. So, Moses has something else to say. After he tells his people, hey, God is one. Repeat this message over and over and over again, and maybe you will understand what it means for God to be one. Maybe. Maybe you'll understand that paradox of the serpent consuming itself if you repeat it every day for your entire lives on live stream. But there's one other thing that I want you to remember. V'chaya. Ki v'chaya Elohecha el ha'aretz asher nisbai lavotecha le'avram li'yitzchak ol Yaakov. Latelach avrim gedolot v'tovot asher lo vanita. Uvati mili'im kol tuva asher lo milata, uverot ha'tuvim asher lo hasatva, ki'arim v'zitim asher lo natata, ve'alachta v'shavata. Hishamer lecha pen tishrach et Yahweh asher tishacha, mi'eretz Mitzrayim mi'bet avadim. When Yahweh Eloheinu takes you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Good morning, Korib. Good morning. Hey, Derry. How are you doing? Can you be a mod? Viber random. Well, clearly you've been here before, because I did ask you to ask me that, but I don't actually remember you. So maybe stick around, let's chat, let's develop a relationship, and yes, then you can be a mod. Is this a church service? Well, this is certainly not a church, but it's something similar. Yes, I'm repeating my morning mantras, Melissa. I say these words every day, and they remind me of the tree that I am connected to, right? We are getting to the root of the tree. These are words ostensibly spoken by Moses 3,000 years ago. They weren't. They were spoken by some priests 2,500 years ago who invented a character to give them a sense of authority, an aura of authority. But yes, we repeat these words because thousands, millions have repeated them before us, and that is how they get their meaning. I live in New York, Viber, on a commune. They remind him of his father's disownership. That is interesting, Grandma Cookies. You both listen carefully and intend to hurt. What an interesting combination for a troll. Not often seen. Congratulations. Do I believe in aliens? Yes, I do. It's not a sense of belief, it's statistics, actually. They must be out there. The universe is very large. Is it an anarchist commune? Well, it depends on what you mean by anarchism. Viber, my morning is full of prayers. How are the mushroomers? The mushroomers are excellent. They're so fucking good. God, they're so good. We went out yesterday for a walk, and we identified like 5 species, and they like made a database for it, and wrote up descriptions. Like, they're so good. They're really, really good. I'm extremely impressed and thrilled at all the work that they're doing. But it's prayer time. We can talk more about mushroomers in a little bit. Ophelia, you always ask very good questions. I'm really glad you're here. Good morning, Renee. So, I repeat these various names of God in the morning, even though I don't know what they mean, because I think by repeating them, maybe I'll come to understand something about the symbols, right, and what the symbols represent, because sometimes the symbols represent the totality of all, and sometimes they represent just like an abusive sky dad, who has had an outsized impact on our society, right? And there's this prayer that Orthodox Jewish men say every morning. It sounds like this: Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, who did not make me a woman. And I have to say that, because Yahweh didn't make me a woman, because Yahweh doesn't exist, and I made me a woman. And yet, nonetheless, Yahweh, despite his non-existence, continues to influence me and my life in a profound way. Hey, Cheddar. You NB. I mean, that's better than pronouns, question mark. What is your pronoun? Okay, here are my pronouns. These are what people think my pronouns are. Most people think I'm she, which means I'm doing something right. Alright, here we go. And in order to balance out that prayer, thank you, Lord of the Universe, for not making me a woman. Ooh, I say this, which is another Orthodox prayer taken a little bit out of context. Baruch atah Asherah, anat malecha ha'olam, asher yitzared ha'adam, b'chachama uvara ve'o. I repeat the name of Asherah Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. Good ones and bad ones. Asherah was Yahweh's wife 3,000 years ago, 3,500 years ago, before Yahweh claimed the single monotheistic throne, the one mountain. The one mountain. So there was a war of mountains in the ancient world. Every city was built upon a mountain, some real, some artificial. The ziggurats, the pyramids, the temple mounts. And on each of these mountains there was a god king. Sometimes the god king's name was Marduk. Sometimes it was Baal. Sometimes it was Zeus. Sometimes it was Yahweh. But they were all basically the same character, the same king who aspired to rule from his mountain all the mountains of the world, or at least of the eastern Mediterranean. And in his mania, he thought not only that could he rule all the mountains of the world, but that he had created them all, and that in fact he was the only god to ever exist, and in order to do so he needed to eat all the other ones. And so there was a war of the gods of the mountains, and one day Marduk, the mountain god of Babylon, came to Yahweh, the mountain god of Jerusalem, and they had a fight in 586 BCE. And here's a song about that time. It goes like this. I came upon a wedding that old families had contrived, with Bethlehem the bridegroom and Babylon the bride. Oh, great Babylon was trembling, and she stood there naked with me. And Bethlehem inflamed us both like the shy one at some orgy. And when we fell together, all our flesh was like a veil that we had to draw aside to see the serpent eat its tail. Oh, some women wait for Jesus, and some we wait for Cain. So I'll hang upon my altar, and I'll hoist my axe again, and I'll take the one who finds me back to where it all began, back when Jesus was the honeymoon, and Cain was just a man. And we'll read from pleasant Bibles that are bound in blood and skin, that Asherah is gathering all her children back again. No, I am not Christian. Yes, the rainbow is on my face purposefully by my design. There are prisms in my windows, and this time of day, the light shines through the window and shines on my face. Makes a very good show, don't you think? You wish to tear your head open and mutilate your brains. Well, I am so sorry that you are in such a bad state, and I hope you don't do that. But if you do, know that the world will go on. Where did I find that song poem? The one I'm singing now. That is a Leonard Cohen song. It's verses from... Where's the text? Is it? Yeah, here. Verses from Last Year's Man by Leonard Cohen. Let me reverse this. Last Year's Man. It's a longer song. There's only 2 verses that are actually about the Babylonian exile. But those are the verses that stick out to me because, he talks about the Ouroboros serpent eating its tail and the nature, the meaning of the song. And this is what it says in the book of Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah is about the Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem. And the Babylonians, they came and they destroyed the temple. They destroyed the city. They raped. They pillaged. They took all of the elites and they carted them off to Babylon. And in Babylon, the elites wrote. They wrote theology to try to explain what had happened to them, the wholesale destruction of their livelihood. And yet here they were, still alive. And they crafted a theology of immortality, and they said, listen, Yahweh did this to us for a purpose, because we stole this land from the Canaanites, from the Philistines, and just as easily as Yahweh allowed us to steal it, he can take it away. And through this process of occupation and reoccupation, he will create an immortal people, a people in the shape of a serpent eating its own tail, because the land has always been occupied and will continue to always be occupied, and through that struggle for identity, we will become God's chosen people, we will become immortal. And that is the theology of the book of Jeremiah. of a serpent eating its tail. And so when I read this modern song, Leonard Cohen died less than a decade ago. This song is less than 50 years old. But he is remembering a time that created his identity, right? That conquest 2,500 years ago still reverberates today, especially in Israel, but all over the world. It's one of the first acts of colonization that ever occurred in the world, and one of the first acts of ethnic identity building, too. At least political ethnic identity building. So, it's important to remember. Thank you, Agent. Thank you very much. So, let's shift to some Sanskrit. I like Sanskrit. We're going to recite the Shivananda Dhyana Sloka, which is a prayer that is typically said before pranayama practice. It goes like this. Kajananam Bhutaganati Sevitam Gapita Jambupalasara Bhakshitam Ummasutam Sakabina Sakarnam Mahami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Sadananam Kunkumarakta Varnam Mahami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Sadananam Kunkumarakta Varnam Mahami Tim Divya Mayura Vahanam Ridasyasinam Sarasainanatam Guham Sadanam Saranam Prapadye Yaku Hendu Tisarahara Devala Yasubravas Varita Yavina Varanda Manditakara Yasveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachuta Sankara Pratrapi Devasata Pujita Samambatu Saraswati Bhagavati Nihe Sajadyapaha Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nisparanchaya Santaya Shivanandaya Te Namaha Shri Vishnu Devanandaya Te Namaha Om Sarva Mangla Manglaye Shive Savarta Sadike Saranye Triambake Gauri Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute. Om. I salute the three-eyed Divine Mother, Narayani, who brings auspiciousness. And now, with that, so now we're going to do the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. What religion is this? So these prayers are from the Shivananda yoga tradition. Shivananda was a guru in India who sent out acolytes to the United States in the 1950s, and they started yoga institutions. And there's one not far from where I grew up that I spent time in when I was younger. And this is a very common mantra. Have I heard of Mercury Stardust? No, I have not. What is that? And I'll read you a bit of the translation from the Mahamrityunjaya mantra right now, before we sing it, for a little bit of context. This is in Sanskrit, but I'll read it to you in English. We praise the fragrance that sees with three eyes and enhances prosperity. May we be liberated from the bondage of death like the watermelon, which separates effortlessly from the vine. Let them not turn us away from immortality. And then we can ask, well, what is immortality? Well, this outer world, all this Maya, is full. And this inner world, what lives in the mind, is also full. And from fullness comes fullness. And taking full from full, fullness remains. It's like the serpent that eats its tail. We contain ourselves, the world contains us, we contain the world, and all of it is full, all of it is infinite. And so we repeat. Trayambakam yajamahi sugandhim pushchevardhanam Urvarukami bhavandanan mrityur mukshiyamamritatom Trayambakam yajamahi sugandhim pushchevardhanam Urvarukami bhavandanan mrityur Mukshiyamamritato Trayambakam Yajamahi Sugandhi Pushtivardhanam Arva Yukami Bhavandanan Mrityoy Mukshiyamamritato Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santuni Ramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashanti Makashid Tukabhagbave, Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityor Mam Mritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat, Purnamudachate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Peace, Peace, Peace. But here's the thing. I don't want to pray to my maker. I just want to be what I see. Not like who I am, but the pink in golden land and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun. Hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, pray. And it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins. And I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom. What I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray, pray, pray. Hello, Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asherah made good, and Anat, Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Hello, Allah, God made, God made, God made. But I don't want to pray to my Maker. I just want to be feeling free. Not like in a book, or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. No, no. Pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asherah made good, and Anat, Anat made bad. Eloheinu made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made me. Thank you, Jenny. So that's why I do this, right? I think it is possible to transmute my physical form into light. Good morning, Winnie Boo. I'm doing it right now. Like, literally, there is a little light sensing panel right here. And it is perceiving my form, copying it, sending it into beams of light up to cellular towers and satellites in outer space, and then those same beams of light are going into the device that you are holding in your hand, and the device is translating them into an image, a moving image of me, my physical form as light. Isn't that remarkable, right? So when I sing, I don't want to be the prayer, but the prayer, that's literally what I'm talking about. I am not just this physical form. I am also a set of ideas that is now in your mind. And I think that's pretty cool. Thank you, Agent. Jess, this is my morning mantras. We have a couple more to do today from the Shivananda Kirtan tradition in Sanskrit. We're next going to do Arati, which means flame. You were having a terrible day, and now you're not. I'm so glad to hear that. Arati means light or flame, right? Transmuting myself into light. I don't want to be the prayer, but the prayer. And so we're going to say prayers to all of these different names of gods with different stories associated with them. And by repeating all these various names, we can come to understand that they are all actually the same thing, the same fabric of reality that we are all embedded within. And that's the theology. That's the metaphysics, right? That we are all one. Matter and energy are all one, right? Energy and matter. It's what modern physics says. Into an abstraction, yes. But not simply a cognitive abstraction, right? Like I'm speaking theory. I'm speaking theology to you right now, Ophelia. And maybe you appreciate it, maybe you don't. But like I'm also speaking literally. Like I'm literally right now being transformed into light as we speak by these technological objects, right? They were designed by engineers and scientists. Like this is not like woo, right? Like I don't want to speak of supernaturalism. Like literally some aspect of my being is light being projected into your eyeballs right now. Like that is literally true. It's a thing that we can do. It's kind of amazing. And I like to remind myself of that, and I like to remind all of you of that. I hope that makes sense. Like I hope that doesn't sound too ridiculous, right? Like I don't want to sound like some like, oh, it's the vibes, man. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like you've told me that before, Jenny. I believe. I'm intelligent. I'm glad you think so. In any case, I'm sorry to hear that your friend passed. And I'm glad that being here is helping you process that in some way. Thank you all for being here. So now we're going to say this Arati prayer. And again, Arati means light. This light. It goes like this. Jaya Jayarati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayarati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayarati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jayarati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankata Harana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayarati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jayarati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jayarati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jayarati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutri Avatara Jaya Jayarati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sanischaraya Sanischaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Guravi Jaya Jayarati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jayarati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jayarati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jayarati Ayapa Swamine Ayapa Swamine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jayarati Jesus Gurave Moses Gurave Buddha Gurave Jaya Jayarati Muhammad Gurave Guru Nanak Gurave Samastya Gurubho Namaha Jaya Jayarati Venugopala Natatra Suyobati Natandrakaratam Nema Vidyobati Kutoyamagni Twameva Bantamanibanti Sarvam Tasya Pasya Samitam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamane Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Sri Kaveri Hiya Namastitam Namo Namaha Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandusha Saka Twameva Tvameva vidya, travinam tvameva, Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva, Kayena vacha manasendriyarva, Budyat manava prakriti sabhavat, Karomyad yad mangalam parasmahe, Narayana iti sarmar payami, Sarvadhamam parichaya mamikam savarnam vraja, Aham sva sarva papaya, mokshayami ma sucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you. Thank you for sharing that, Jenny. That's really sweet. And I'm glad that I remind you of her. In my voice. There are some other members of my commune that are Jewish, yes, although my community is not explicitly Jewish. Though we do some Jewish holidays, we do Passover. And Tyler, Judaism is not a monolith. So there are Jewish voices throughout history that have said many things about transgenderism. Some of them are horrific, some of them are quite beautiful. The Talmud in section says that there are more than two genders. But, you know, Yahweh is a patriarchal asshole, and there's no denying or reinterpreting what he says as anything but a deep statement of male dominance. So, Judaism says many things, and I choose to interpret what I will and what I want. And, yeah, it's pretty great. So, we're going to conclude the mantra portion of our morning stream today with a Kaddish. That root word, Kaddish, Kadesh, Kadosh, Kaddish, it's a Semitic word with a very old history. There was a city on the Syrian coast named Kadesh that was destroyed during the Bronze Age collapse. And there was a goddess who lived in that city who moved all across the eastern Mediterranean coast, and her name was Kadesh. She was a fertility goddess. She's often depicted with aroused men around her, holding snakes and flowers on the back of a lion. She's pretty cool. And in Hebrew, the word kadosh means holy. And during the Babylonian destruction of Jerusalem, Isaiah had this vision of God flanked by angels chanting, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy. This death is holy. And so for the last 2,500 years, my ancestors have been saying the following words in response to death. They sound like a little bit. Yid Gadal vid Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Biamati Vrachute Viamlich Malchute. Bechaychon Viamechon Vchayid Kolbe Israel. Bagalau Visman Kari Vimru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah Mivarach Lialam Omei Omaya. Yid Barach Vishtabach Vid Baar Vid Irman Vid Nasei. Vitadar Vitale Vitalas Shemei de Kudisha Berechu. The Elam Min Kol Birchata Vishirata Tushbechata Venechimata. Diamiran Biama Vimru. Amen. Yehi Shlamar Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael Vimru Amin O Say Shalom Vimru Mav Huya Say Shalom Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael Vimru Amen. O Say Shalom Vimru Mav Huya Say Shalom Aleinu V'yachol Yisrael Vimru Amen. Good morning, Great Blue Ape. Thank you so much for joining me all today. For all of you for joining me today. It means a lot that I get to share this morning time with you all. It's quite special. So now I'm gonna turn off the big YouTube live